DreamHack Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, Hacks, and GGBet.
Nova Scotia's trailer parks are colorful thanks to the residents Ricky, Bubbles, and Julian. Together, they plan mad capers, usually get-rich-quick schemes, with plenty of screw-ups along the way. They're consistently being hunted by their former trailer park supervisor, Mr. Jim Leahy, rest in peace, and his perpetually shirtless, pot-bellied assistant, Randy. There are also other hosts of quirky individuals that you could find in Sunnyvale, probably us if we weren't here at the DreamHack Open Montreal, and bringing you the last game of the day, the decider for Group B, and it is going to be a banger. We have Imperial versus Luminosity, and one of which only Jim Leahy could stop the inevitable here. I'm joined by my analytical tag team crew, and Dust and Tommy, and guys, what should we be set up for as we go into this last match of the day?
Before we hop into that, I just have a question. We've heard you know, getting into a bunch of different things. Now it's a TV show, it was Poutine yesterday at some point, you know, different things. Like, how much of this have you experienced?
A good bit.
Do we have a Trey's stamp of approval on all this stuff?
Yeah, you know, I try to keep it to things that I already approve, right? So that way I can openly endorse it, like the Trailer Park Boys openly endorse it. Poutine, openly endorse. You gotta have the cheese curds. It's fire, it's delicious. Plus, anybody and everybody likes getting their meat smoked. So, with that said, of course...
I mean, we're from the deep south of the United States, so we know all about smoking meat and cheese and gravy. So it's like right at home here in Montreal, really.
Yeah, enough about smoking each other's meat. Let's go ahead and take a look at the groups. We do have the bracket and how Group B played out. Dust Barrett, my goodness, it's your time to shine, buddy.
Yeah, boy. I mean, we have Imperial, who was like a tale of two teams. Showed up in the lower bracket game and did really well against Heroic to 2-0 them after a really rough start the first day against HO, where they looked not themselves at all. Obviously going through a little bit of roster turmoil, having to bring in a guy like next to the in-game lead who's not a natural leader, and that's from the word of Neil, the coach himself, not from me. And it's very apparent that they are having some struggles on figuring out tactics, but they do have the talent. Let's see if they can bring it to Luminosity, though, in this next game.
Well, it is going to be a hellacious matchup here, of course. Having had played earlier in the day, you could think that it's probably starting to wear down on this younger roster, so to say, which might be a point that you have all on your own. In fact, it might be 3 reasons from Hacks GG with Mr. Lurpus.
It might be one of them. I got 3 reasons why the Twins will make playoffs. Number 1, dun. Henny's the best opera on the server. I think Nucky's looked pretty good this tournament so far. You know, Haji saw previously in NVS, but Henny's the real star player. He's the only star-level player, I think, who has experience from playing, you know, big tournaments against really good opponents, and I think he's likely to have a field day here. Number 2, LG have an actual in-game leader. That's Steel, of course, previously played for teams like Liquid internationally. And that's the one thing, as Dustin just said, and as Neil mentioned in the post-game interview, that Imperial really struggle with. They don't have an in-game leader. They lack leadership. They need everybody to chip in. None of that on the Brazilian side. And number 3, the Brazilians had more time to prepare. They didn't have to play earlier today. They could just in peace watch the game that Imperial played. They got two maps there that they saw. They had time to prepare before that. Didn't have to worry about another opponent. They should be ready for anything they get thrown at.
That was beautiful. That was very beautiful. Thank you for that, Tommy. And of course, thank you, Hacks GG, for making that possible, as well as what we're about to dive into, because it's been best of 3s all day long, and today and right this moment are absolutely no different. It could be 2 maps, it could be 3. Only time will tell, but it's very important that we know what maps they're going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because neither team wants to play Nuke, so it's going to be a game of chicken on like who's actually going to be the one to deliver that ban. Whereas
neither wants to play Mirage either, by the way.
I think Imperial do.
They both vetoed Mirage and Nuke in both their games here.
I think Imperial want to play Mirage against Luminosity. Luminosity are 0-6 on Mirage offline, and granted, a little bit different rosters involved in some of those games, but they have not brought that true Brazilian kind of, you know, fundamentals to Mirage that past teams have from that country. They've really been struggling with it, so I think Imperial Imperial would love to play Mirage. And in fact, I wonder, you know, how Luminosity is going to ban now, because I think Imperial would just take out Nuke.
I mean, I think if you're Luminosity, you just veto Mirage, and then
Yeah,
you force Imperial to veto Nuke. Then you pick whatever you want to pick, and I think Luminosity takes out. Yeah. Oh, Dust 2.
And Mirage.
That's surprising. But
Yeah.
then the question is, who's gonna have to ban Nuke second? I guess Imperial banned first, which then means obviously that they can force Luminosity to take that out in the second veto phase.
I think Luminosity is going to take Inferno here if I had to take a guess, and I'm imagining that Imperial would want to go to Train if they're just going to stick with like what they've been comfortable with the core of their lineup. Even after that rough game against AGO on the opening day, they looked a lot sharper, at least individual form-wise, and so I think that maybe they would still stick with Comfort on Train. So that's my best guess.
Cash and an overpass.
Wow,
I
suck.
Though you shouldn't play the lottery
Yeah,
today.
I really shouldn't.
Well, listen, it was 1
There
for
was
5
some reasoning
shot.
behind
It was
it.
a 20% shot. 5 options. You went for, you know, you win some, you miss some.
It's very much true, isn't it? Cash overpassed our first digital battlegrounds, and then we were going to have one more. Where do we think it lands for the decider? I guess now.
I was gonna say Train, but now it's too late, isn't it?
It's a little late for that.
Hard to take credit for that one, but
At least Train
is.
got in there somehow, so it makes me feel a little bit better.
Cash overpass Train, but we're going to be talking about Cash first and foremost. Is this a map that we can take a look at and say that it benefits either team on either side?
I think this is where Imperial's lack of leadership is going to be a little bit easier to deal with on a map like Cash. I feel like the basics of it are pretty well founded. It's just all about people making plays at certain areas of the map, as well as just some quick mid-round decision making. And I think it's where the individual talent of Imperial can really shine, because I feel like they are a team that has plenty of that. Whereas I feel like on Luminosity, particularly on the Terra side, they're going to be really lost here, because I think Yell is really out of his element on this team now on Terra side. In particular, he's not opping anymore. He has to play like weird support roles. He's not used to that. That's really going to harm them on Cash. And I also think that Nekus, like, he was really good at Valencia, but outside of that, he hasn't really performed that well. So when you look at overall firepower, I think Imperial has a little bit more. And I think Cash plays to it.
Well, how about we talk about Luminosity first? That's going to be the first team in our focus. And, well, let's just say that this is an anniversary, and they're looking to go just as far as they did the last time that they were here at the DreamHack Open Montreal. And perhaps they'll do just that. This match will be foretelling of that indeed. So,
last year here was, of course, the previous tournament, the North one, before DreamHack Stockholm last weekend. I think like Dustin said, I do think Imperial have a very slight advantage in skill, and I think that's actually largely driven by the fact that Yell just doesn't really fit the rest of the Luminosity roster currently as constructed, and that's simply because Henny joined mid-season and took over the main opping role, and that was what Yell was doing previously. He was actually pretty good at that role, but the problem is Henny's just better, so you can't really justify him giving up that role. This guy's probably going to be the most important player here. Didn't have a great game in their opener, so you can see from the stats.
But they, I mean, you know, in their opener, yes, it wasn't pretty. Perhaps they were just shaking off the cobwebs, shaking off the dust.
I mean, they are just coming off the player break, so
yeah,
you never really know how prepared everybody is. Ideally, you know, everybody would have taken a couple of weeks to get in shape prior to the first tournament, but, you know, things happen, and that's not always the case.
It's just not how the cookie crumbled, is it, Tommy? Now, Dust, what's your take on this this Luminosity lineup? Are they poised to do big things here? Will they have any trouble facing up against Imperial?
Yeah, again, I think they will. I think we've already touched on it enough about just Yell being out of his element. I would have preferred to see Henny be like kind of an entry rifler and let Yell keep the AWP. I think that would have made more sense for the overall squad, but you did hit it right. I mean, Henny is like such a good opper when he's in form that he has a higher ceiling than Yell might have. And so I think that that's something you have to kind of see them balance out. At the very least, at least people are going to be comfortable in the spots they're playing outside of Yell. Like Lucas is back on this team. He's back to being kind of an entry fragger with Nekus. He's often been an underrated rifler. He's never been like a star player that puts up big numbers, but he does his job really well, creating space, and he's pretty flexible. Sometimes he can take a back seat and let other people shine. And so I think that that can really help them on a map like Cash, where those openings are going to be crucial.
You know, one cool aspect of this would be that I think it was Valencia, DreamHack Open Valencia. We actually talked to Steele in an interview, and I asked the question, very serious question, and I know you guys are probably wondering it in your own time. When the Twins are in a 2vx situation, do they communicate? Or is it just kind of like telepathic?
Well, I would sincerely hope that they do communicate. I'm not a big believer on the telepathic thing, but do tell us what he said.
He said that it's crazy. He had a lot of smiling. You know how Steele does.
Yes.
And then outside of that, he also said that...
He did say that, I'm sure.
Outside of that, he also said sometimes Henny makes up locations on the map when he calls. There's one in Coffee, and he goes, well, where the hell is Coffee? Yeah, right? So interesting tidbit for you. I don't think that they should have these problems today, but yes, Imperial might have a big problem. The big challenge here is they are up against Luminosity.
And by the way, this isn't something that gets talked about for them, but they also do have a mix of nationalities, so could potentially play some minor role in this. Obviously, that's been the case for quite a while, but they do have new players on the team, a couple new players joining in over the summer, so it's not always obvious how well that is going. And I think that is, that is something that plays into the whole lack of leadership thing as well. It's, takes some time to adjust to that, as we've seen.
Yeah, Imperial, this is the only map that they're undefeated on offline is Cash, so the core of the lineup, so they'll feel right at home. And again, what the other cool thing is, even though they made 2 roster changes, the spots still line up really well. Like Haji just kind of takes all of Timsky spots, Pound takes all of Crystal spots, so everyone gets to play, areas that they're going to be comfortable in. And again, I feel like this map you're going to see first up in Cash is a map that's going to play to the strengths, the individual skill, the aggressive nature of the team, and be able to try to just pressure Luminosity with explosive play. And one of the big things with that is that Esperanto seems to have come back to his usual self today. He was really slow on training against ATO. Absolutely. And Nexa, that's the other guy we were a little bit worried about because he's having to take on the in-game leadership. We know that he struggled with that in the past. He's not a natural leader from his own coach's words, yet he still played really well in that Heroic Series individually as a player. It didn't seem to hamper him too much. And if they can keep that up, that's going to be great news for any Imperial fans out there.
Yeah. Esperanto.
I like it.
Head-to-head against Hin1. Oh, sorry, that doesn't really. Either way, that's what our comparison is, head-to-head. Of course, we have highlighted Henny as having a very volatile op should he be able to come online in the proper way. And I guess when he doesn't, does that spell trouble for Luminosity?
Well, I mean, he certainly is someone that they rely on. I would say, he's the most important fragger on the team, and he has a very flashy style, which increases the volatility in his level of play.
Gotta love that. Just like you gotta love a Twitch vote. Isn't that right, Tommy?
You do.
Exclamation point LG or exclamation point Peter Dinklage, I mean Imp. And that will be how you vote in the Twitch chat. That's how we're gonna find out who you think is going to win this bad boy right here. Of course, we're gonna be checking in with that as soon as we're done wrapping up this little part. Now, we talked about shaking the dust off, and perhaps we shake a dust off into his prediction here. Let's hear it.
I am going to... This is the toughest call I've had to make all tournament, I feel like.
Anyone have a coins?
I'm going to go...
Might as well.
I'm going to go with Imperial.
I'm going to have to go with Luminosity because that's what I gave the... that's the team that I gave the 3 reasons for. So I'm going with the Twins. Also, I'm on Brazil's side, as everybody knows.
Yeah, you kind of have to... Yeah, you have that whole thing going for you. I'm going to have to side with what I'm hoping is the obvious choice in Luminosity. And what should be your obvious choice, as I'm going to have to invite you, Tommy, to do some little shining right here. This is what I'm going to need from you, a little bit of some of that.
Oh, a little bit of some. You want me to talk about the company that is sponsoring Imperial?
And
they have
DreamHack
they've got a little... Oh, I mean, I think with DreamHack, it's more so providing viewers a chance to experience the game in a better way. Of course, talking about Snipe TV and their Digital Pass product, which you should get at address DreamHack.com/Digital Pass.
Beautiful.
Great product. Gives you access to all 10 POVs, really interactive, lets you see whatever you want. It's just a much better product than the free streaming services.
It's true. Came straight from the horse's mouth. He's not really a horse, but something like that.
What's the saying?
I'll never really understand the saying completely, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to get the game to the people who will be doing the talking. That's going to be Launders and Scrawny. My goodness, are you gentlemen ready?
Most certainly am. Did you notice how Stunna pushes his responsibilities on Lurpus?
That was clever.
Kind of
like
bully.
that.
Is that all you got? Or
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you guys have fun. We'll see you later.
Thanks much. See you guys in the green room, where I'm sure they'll be attentively watching every game.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah. We'll deal with that later. There should be a boxing ring here in the Olympic Stadium, you'd think. It is quite a sporting complex, but we'll get to that one.
Imperial Crocodile Alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
How long have you been waiting on that?
Just a couple minutes.
Luminosity, 72% of the Twitch chat vote. Looks like the Brazilians have showed up to watch. It's not getting too late in Europe, but I don't think there's many people in Lithuania. So if we're just going, you know, head to head.
Just in general.
Yeah. Head to head, we're gonna have it, you know, a Luminosity fan base out there. So welcome, guys. Looks like the odds are literally down the middle, 1.86. Lurpus may have been onto something when he says, let's flip a coin.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and maybe that actually speaks to why Dust was so up in the air. And money talks. I mean, where people put their money is worth more than any analyst prediction on a desk. You know, that it's as much as predictions are fun, if you're actually going to put money on it and really think about what you're talking about and like who you think is going to win, being completely unbiased, money is what it comes down to. So those odds are actually really important, I think, too.
money launders.
I think the odds, you know, have predicted many elections in the past that people didn't think were.
It's crazy. People bet on the democratic process.
Oh, they'll bet on everything. they'll bet on coin flips that happen at the Super Bowl.
I mean, I remember when once upon a time we'd have Counter-Strike bot matches, and that is literally a 50-50 bet.
Yep.
So
unless
yeah,
you're
people
good.
do bet on things.
Yeah, I think
Bunch of freaks.
I think Luminosity are going to win too.
Do
you think Imperial are going to win?
I mean, look, outside of DreamHack Summer, when Imperial came out of nowhere and actually won the event, we haven't really seen them in the finals of their events. Luminosity are grand finalists, right? Most notably at the most recent of DreamHacks, where I think they dispatched of more competition than they have here this weekend. But let's let the players speak for themselves. Esperanto's got something to say, and it comes in the form of a double headshot. Nekas and Lucas down for the count. And Nexa's going to be drawn towards middle when suddenly Squeaky Door bursts open and the body count continues to stack up versus the T side. Looks like the first round could still go their way because in a sudden flurry of frags, we have got this even kill. Oh, and Steel's going to keep on going. He finds Haji out in the open. No cover. The duel is theirs to take. How have they managed to make this happen?
Esperanto has got to be mad at his teammates because that was a 2v5 brought to you by him and Pound. And now it's just Nuke on the retake through B main. And no matter what he does at this point, it's going to be somewhat obvious. Everyone's going to have safe positions. And Steels here is covering a lot of angles and I think is fully well aware of the fact that it might be a big flank. But this is a tilting loss.
Yeah.
Not an easy retake.
If it is indeed a loss, but Nuki's going to give up his back. And sure enough, perfect pinch. Is that a 2v5?
Yeah, 2v5. Steel got 2, Henny got 2, or Steel might have got the
Might have been a
third one
2v4
there.
as well. We had some frags all over.
Yeah.
1, 2 plus 4 divided by, yeah, 2v5.
Thanks. Quick math.
Force buy back. I feel like we're going to get a lot of these. I just want to see these teams duke it out. Because I think that's the thing. There's a lot of testosterone in this server. There's a lot of self-indulgence. Confidence too. Confidence can lead to fantastic things.
So I actually just feel like this is Imperial's map choice.
Yes.
But this is a map that Luminosity love.
Exactly.
And at a certain point in time, not even that long ago, this was their first pick. So allowing this to go through, it kind of shows like that Imperial's veto is not that strong in general. We've seen problems like this already in this tournament. But we'll see.
Yeah, they lost what I'd say is their go-to map, Mirage, right away, right? Immediate ban from Luminosity, and I don't blame them. Luminosity, they can handle Mirage at time to time, but not needed. Because if you're playing on Mirage, Esperanto has 20 kills. And if he doesn't have 20 kills, he has 30 kills. That's what Tom Biz taught me. And he's never been wrong. But this round actually taking more time than one could have expected, considering the buy. Eventually, Luminosity find their footing inside of a bomb site, and they'll get a couple kills in the process. Wallbang? No, sir. But the push is good. The kills stack up, and it's a 5-man squad standing at the end for Luminosity.
Dabs are out. Luminosity take a clean, flawless anti-eco, rack the cash up, and there's a lot to talk about where their cash was at a certain point in time and where it should be going. And I don't know how much attention they've given to the map. It's a map that just like not as many people play compared to, Mirage or Inferno, for example. But it's been a home map for them the entire time. So I would say one defining factor. And oh wow, some clean USP shots though to take things up just a little bit. Long range. Galil, however, to answer back from Nekas. One more kill going the way of Imperial on highway, leaving just Nexa here at the forklift. Victim of the D.
Hit him with it.
The base really brings it home.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you dislike the Galil?
All of them.
I warn everyone out there, if you ever get the chance to meet launders, never expect a straight up answer. Okay?
How much they hate it? Very.
Very.
Kiss girls like Katy Perry.
Many. Many more rounds to come. But the first 3 have gone the way of Luminosity. Pistol transitions into the full conversion. Frags sail forward. Little fragmentation in Pound's hair, but he shakes it off. Still looks great holding mid. And Luminosity not overextending through middle just yet, but we do have Steel being caught in the trap of Hadji.
Esperanto playing a very precarious position on the left side of the smoke and mid. Very important spot to play. High frag position. But once that smoke is gone, you rely on your teammates to re-smoke for you. But re-smoking mid is not always encouraged. Here's Pound from the back. Can only do so much. And again, he's in a tough spot too. Can't just sit out there. Has to peek once in a while. And now that he's stuck out here, not in Vents, and Vents is molly down. Luminosity want to take mid. Esperanto has to frag.
First man goes past, offsets the crosshair, still he gets the kill, and what's more important is that Esperanto doesn't need frags if Pound's gonna do the heavy lifting. Manages to just chuck 2 corpses into the wagon. Plague control, looking good. Yell, not so much. Esperanto goes forward, does not want anybody to survive. But Imperial, keep it moving.
You could see how he was kind of being reserved about how he was shooting at the one target in the air.
Yeah.
And this is obviously Pound from the back playing his role to perfection. Lucas going down through the smoke too, that was nice. But Esperanto realizing that, you know, if you're out there, you're not going to be able to reload.
Exactly.
If they're going to go for a mid-take, they've just mollied out Vents, they've waited a smoke out, you're going to have 2, 3 people least coming at you. You've got to preserve your ammo. You've got to go for more than 1 kill.
Yeah, hence why, of course, he's going for those small bursts, but never needed was the additional 20 shots because, again, Pound really got that job done. And he's going to be floating up and down highway. Pound, to me, is not one of the players that actually calls your attention all too much at times, right, with this roster. If I'm not mistaken, he's the most recent addition outside of Hadji.
A new guy.
Who would have replaced Lobanitsa. So, Lithuania looking strong. Always excited to see new countries break through and have representation. Remember, Kazakhstan of 2017 taking the world by storm. Right now, looking to storm the A sites, Luminosity, but they've lost their initial peak. That's Henny down.
Look how tight that pop flash was. Oh, he's got another too.
Fire as well at his feet, but everything seems all right until Lucas gets the headshot. That's over towards middle. So these A-site defenders are still just trying to lock it off, but now highway becomes a possibility. It's not, in fact, a variable for the execution. They're all coming in from A main now, and they are being shut down. Excellent work here between the 2 young guns, and Lucas, the last gun, up for Luminosity. 30 seconds left on the clock, 10 seconds per kill. If you can get this one rolling, there's the first. Does finish off Esperanto, and the other 2 CTs don't want to overface. Remember, he has bomb, and he does have a little bit more time to work with here. He's anticipating the peak, the 1v1s are his, and Lucas just can't finish it off, but an excellent effort.
Damn, Haji saw his future right there.
Flashed in front of his eyes.
Jesus. That was quite close. Actually, nice how Lucas played it very confidently as well. But overall, like, the site execution was quite sloppy. They couldn't get out of A main. And the worst part of it all is Imperial gave them plenty of fights that they're probably going to be happy to take, which is that fight towards default, the fight towards quad from A main with the AKs. You'd love to, like, begin and end your engagements on A there. I mean, coming out and having to clear it and go through the worry of relying on a flash or turning a corner, it's not something you want to put yourself through. And so you'd say Imperial were probably, like, giving them the best 50-50 fights possible, and still they couldn't win. Luminosity love A on this map. We're going to see a lot of, I was going to say strong A executions. That last one was not very strong. We're going to see a lot of A executions.
Ooh, let's see what happens when we have a single AK-47 in the hands of Luminosity. They've lost a pistol player. Steel takes the bullets. And Pound's going to linger a little longer. Oh, no. He falls off. He feels the heat there. Does not want to test the presence very wary of a potential A-site split, so let's start talking conditioning. You just said a lot of A hits. They seem to be expecting that, but right now, the entirety of Luminosity do preside towards mid. And he's got a rifle. Doesn't have Kevlar. Only Lucas has that. But a second rifle can still make the difference, and especially if you're just going to play the trade frags. You throw these pistol players up front, you get the info, headshots off of the trade frags, and then boom, it's a 2 versus 2. That's what they're hoping for.
They look deliberate. They picked a site. They knew exactly when to start walking. They prioritized getting the gun over anything else, which is very smart. 20 seconds up. They still have time to execute. It's not going to be pretty, but they can do it.
They don't have a smoke for cross, though, so Pound could just do that. Rips the head clean off. Second follows suit. Lucas with the trades. They don't need 2 rifles because they have him. He is already sitting on 3 frags, and it's an open plant off of Yell. Now, he's retrieved an M4A4, and he does still sit inside of the bomb site. It's Lucas to go clear the flank, and once he has that information, expect him to come back and fixate on this hold. Nexa and Haji both have to find a way to push up from the truck wall. Yell's gonna let them close this distance and just try to kill them on the site. It was Lucas who wants to duel and slow them down, but now that he sits on 15 health, he really has to be cautious because a repeat could cost him. But can Yell line them up? Nearly. A headshot's good. But the M4A1S reigns supreme.
Yeah, and he didn't have head armor to help him survive and take that fair fight. So a really good attempt, and what looked like an ace creeping up on us from Lucas as he got those 3 frags. They still at least get a bomb plant and keep Imperial on their toes. Nice frags there, Maddox. Knowing where to expect the second guy from was huge.
Yeah.
3-3, and it comes down to the last 2 for Imperial. They've bought down to 0 on a few people. Or just very low.
Launders, I think this is going to be a really close series.
It's starting to feel like it, isn't it?
I can feel it.
All the way down in your plums.
As Moses would say.
Actually, Will Ferrell and Eastbound and Down.
Moses is more important. Look at this. Finally, a little redirection from Luminosity. They will head towards B, so it seems. Got that one single squeaky lurker. Look at the damage going back the other way. Can Nexa capitalize? Absolutely not. He's standing in the open. No cover. Oh, man, if only Pound had shot. 2 tag targets. He could still line them up. 1 spray down lane would clear them off the site. But nope, he bites his tongue, and he tries to play patient. Nuki needs to clear the A site, but now Yell's just playing with his food. This is going to keep the CTs so separate that by the time they've dealt with this A player, it's going to be the save call. Unless Pound can take it all on his own shoulders. But that's going to be some heavy lifting. Goodbye! Lucas blown to smithereens. That smoke's going to block off door. Now, if he gets this kill in the corner, it's literally an open bomb site. And if somebody jumps on the bomb right now, they could make it happen. But no, Steel's able to cut down the diffuser, and therefore, round to Luminosity.
Excellent. The way that Steel just played it, getting that first kill, immediately running for cover, realizing he's got the bomb plant, it's perfect. The only thing I think was when Yell had that small window of time where he was able to get away on the A site, I bet he was thinking, oh man, maybe I need to delay just a little bit longer. Yep. But leave it to Steel to tie it together. It all works out in the end. Luminosity win the round. They retain their lead. They put Imperial on an actual force. Maybe a strange time to force. I'm not sure about this. But you could see they know that there was like some economic despair on the side of Luminosity that maybe they wanted to capitalize on.
Looks like they want to play into A main. I think Pound was actually on this side of the smoke, so Steel would have heard his footsteps. But he does get back into safety, the sanctuary of the A site. Steel normally likes to be that single B lurker, but they've swapped sides. Very competent in playing on his own.
Just out of sight of Esperanto. He finally wants to clear the left side of A main. Smoke is bounced from the fence. A perfect one, of course. Luminosity, wait, Pound actually comes in through the smoke. The flash is no good. I feel like they might have popped it in there if that was not simply the tire marks, if you will, of the last flash that was thrown earlier in the round. Lucas off his patience, gets a kill as well. This is when you can start to get moving.
Yeah, snowball effect towards the A site. That's where they're going to go. Esperanto removed from the skies, and just like that, 4 dead. Nexa up next. Hate to break it to you, bud. You're not getting out of here alive.
MP9. Not technically even worth hunting. So we'll go for it. Crouches under the crosshair. Oh my god, the jumping MP9 instant headshot into get bodied.
Prove me wrong. Get out of here with it. You've taken 2 frags and oh no, he finally runs into Lucas. Valiant effort, nice attempt.
Earned our respect,
Yeah,
adoration.
and that's not easy.
We're hardened individuals, very jaded. But,
I was in jail once. I know all about respect. Okay?
Oh no, don't get Connor started about being in jail.
It's prison tech.
I might make it even worse by not asking you how you got there, but
I like to leave people guessing. And Imperial will leave the Luminosity guessing as to where the stack is at. They should have a read that the money is gone. Forced by clearly in the previous round with those MP9s and lackluster utilities. $200 invested. The flashbangs trying to make a difference. Utility matters. Nexa trades right away, emerges from the back quad. You see the terrorist a little bit hesitant. Nexa is just all alone, finally connecting a little bit more damage. Yell is here to help. They're skewering it from the side of Squeaky Door. Yell finally cut down, but Luminosity extend this to 6.
strong start. And the force-ups will wear on you, especially on the CT side. Just I think one stat about the way that utility is used on cash that I would like to know about is that you use, even though everybody on a full buy on any map will buy up the maximum amount of utility for the most part, depending on like very specific situations where you might entry. I feel like on cash you are expelling more utility more quickly and more on average than on any other map. And I would like that looked into by somebody. I think that's the feeling that people share about cash, where even just the first 10 seconds in mid.
Oh. And nearly lining up shots. Nekis takes down Pound, so Nuki's going to be all alone until we have Nexa back into the equation. A second shot from him. This time it creates a casualty, and Nexa's rotation has been great. Another headshot from him leaves Henny on 11, and even despite a health disadvantage, he'll find himself another kill. 10 seconds and a minute on top of it. That's what sits towards the clock, but look at this squeaky flank.
He's changed the plant up.
Esperanto.
Oh, whoa. Oh, that could get weird. And he's got the AWP. One peek and he's dead. Haji takes him out, and it's just like how he bought a life for his team with a pre-fire on the op initially.
Yeah.
Haji did the same for Imperial right there on Highway.
Yep, could have gotten really freaky in the back of the bomb site.
You know Haji likes to get freaky.
Probably. Probably. I'm glad to actually see him here. Again, I brought this up, how he had that, you know, small little stint with Envious while the roster around him was crumbling. So
that's
like,
terrible for his brand. You
exactly.
know,
like,
to survive that is huge.
hey guys, my biggest breakout. Oh, you're all done?
Oh, you guys are done? Yeah. You
Well,
come in at like 1 a.m. at the party.
Yeah.
And there's no beer left.
Just stumbling Frenchman.
And you're just trying to keep the party going, keep it alive.
And he winds up here on a very promising young roster as well.
It's an important move. I mean, you could join a good team, but there's so much more to it. You know, at what stage of your career are you joining a team? How motivated is a team that you're joining?
Yeah.
Sorry, Snatchy. You know, like there's these things are very important.
Yeah.
And that you have to consider because you put your brand on the line. And you also have a limited timeline as a player.
Exactly.
There's definitely the argument that, like, if you gave everyone 100 years to get good at Counter-Strike, everyone would probably be pretty close, you know, in terms of how good they are.
Yeah.
But the reason that, you know, we talk about certain players more, Simple and Eco, Cold Zero, these kinds of players more, just because of how good they got in the period of time that they have played, right? In this, you know, finite existence that we all lead. So as a player, you've got to really think carefully about what teams you join, because you should never join a team with the expectation you're going to leave in 4 months, right?
Never.
It's like being in a relationship.
Exactly.
You want to join and be committed until that day.
Oh boy. Oh boy, look at the pace in this one. This is a gun round too, right off the top of it. Off of Imperial's pause, Luminosity looked to just wreck face and wreak havoc over towards the A site. We talked about their consistency in hitting it. And talking about hitting it, look at Nexa go. Drops Henny and the bomb on the dirt. Lucas, he's gonna have a smoke to work with. That was actually a CT smoke that enables the cross and gives now the terrorists a chance at an after plant. Yell and Lucas versus Nuki, Nexa, Hadji. CT's all full HP. Utility looking decent. Flashbangs, great. Blinded are the eyes of Lucas. Yell committed to the quad, committed to the cause, and already starting this 1v3 clutch. Can he figure out the angles? He feels so pressured. He feels boxed in, and he absolutely is. Nuki will get it, and Imperial find the round.
Yeah, and that was definitely a psychological battle of preying on patience versus out-reading your opponent, where Yell could have sat at quad, and from what we saw, would have been totally safe and would have burned time off the clock and forced someone to come in on that 2v1 and probably come out of position and be able to get a kill on someone holding W, but instead was just too worried about how fast they play it and played right into their hand because of it. So now Imperial have really brought this back in a big way, have earned themselves an eco, and we might look at a scoreline of 6-6. So Luminosity, though, have forced up, and they've got at least one AK here, so have full intentions to try to win this round best as possible.
Last time we saw a single AK-47 from Luminosity, it was in Lucas's hands, and he really did make it work. It's actually him to get the kill off of a pistol. Neck is yet to come into play, but still it's 2 kills for Luminosity. They're not supposed to win this round. They're not supposed to be finding these frags so easily. So finally, there's a cost back for them. Esperanto, the cashier in the case, takes the life. Now, they're starting to move forward. He's creeping in. If he gets this forklift position once the fire fades, then that could allow for him to skewer the site, but Lucas gets another, and Nekis finally fires off the Kalashnikov. Hadji has to run, and run as he might, he will be pinched in. Death in his sights. It is 7-5.
Damn, that A site that they love preying on, it's just becoming more and more lethal these takes, and that's just an eco round. They didn't save, but they didn't have much to spend at all. And I think that was, you know, a one critical frag that Lucas hit on the guy bomb wall. You know, that's where the round changes quite a lot. Imperial clearly understood the protocols for each other in terms of taking the A site back, and that was, you know, with that smoke on A main, how they mollied out fork as they moved up, the spacing and everything like that was perfect. So Luminosity definitely proving to be a threat in the face of a good game plan.
Another force buy though, Launders.
Going back for it, wow. It's a lot. There's probably one too many force buys from Imperial that we've seen.
Yeah,
there were probably one too many.
So let's see if this is the last, you know, the last hit. Just one more, man. Just one more, man.
That story never ends well.
No, it doesn't. And right now, neither is this half. It's not ending well for Imperial because they're still 2 rounds down and Luminosity have a lead. They could be obtaining a 10th if they sweep the remaining. However, this one's nice and slow. And I'm down for that. Luminosity sizing up their opponent, not writing them off. Because Imperial, even with these kinds of guns, are threatening. I like that there's a pop flash primed. Should be off of the contact from Nexa. Nexa's actually burned into the open, though. That's why he was standing here last time, so he falls prey to the same play. And now Lucas looks to find another. Flash goes out, and Hadji connects to the head, but he's got no teammates to support. Finally, there's a little presence shown from heaven, but oh my Esperanto.
What is happening?
Deagle instantly versus Nekis. Does he realize a player has already wrapped up into heaven? Because that could be the big difference maker. That is what could spell disaster for what Imperial think is an upset. They believe they've got it in the bag. Esperanto does deny steal. It's the last 2 towards B main, but it's so planted for them. He needs a couple of crisp headshots. He's got no smoke, but he does have the kit, and time's still there for him to play, but he knows better.
Oh! Ooh. Super clean. 3 haircuts today. Esperanto's a barber.
Fresh fades. Man. Slipped him the tongue as he just crept through that smoke, Launders.
Funny that he still kills Steel.
Yeah, that
really, because you know he didn't see him.
No,
they're both in that smoke.
How does he catch him in the end? Oh, he sees him peek out. All right.
Bit of a guff by Steel.
But I mean, pick up all the frags you want. You're running out of rounds.
Haji telling them about his new streetwear line.
2 pauses left after this one. Esperanto, very vocal. Good, you got it.
Second, yeah. I just had to wait. That's Esperanto. Yeah. Again, like so much attention will be over at A. That should be understood at this point. Imperial can combat that by pushing B. It's one of the strongest, best moves. I feel like that's something Virtus Pro did really well with Snacks, where they would take B main control. One of my favorite things to do as a CT on Cash. And it's just there's so many good options that you can use on CT side to get info early. It's like, if not totally safe, you know, 50-50, which is still really good odds as a CT. And they aren't really abusing that. Typically, if someone's going to go for an A default, they leave someone alone at B. And if that person's get right, he might try to get on the site by himself. But if not, he's going to be there just to make sure no one smokes or no one pushes. But if someone throws that stack smoke, aggressive B main, then they're kind of screwed. They actually have to stand back there, wait for it to go away, and then try to retake.
Pound caught in the open. Haji capitalizes on the situation, knows there's another there, but he does hop back across. And uh-oh, that one saved AK could come back to cost them. In the meantime, they've cleared the A site, but nobody has bomb. Launders, nobody has bomb, and Esperanto's about to find it. If he anticipates the player from B, Esperanto can win this round, but Yell denies him the chance, and that is huge. Still going to be a pressured situation because they only have 30 seconds to make this work. They're going to have to leave an op behind.
I think they're prioritizing just dropping the guns out. So he's taking the op. He's going to be just throwing the AK up on the boost. Nexus still has one, though. No, not any longer.
Could have gotten even stickier.
Well handled, though.
Yeah,
well handled overall, for sure. Yell, I don't know what tipped him off. That's just as you said. It seemed like Esperanto snuck into a position that nobody knew about.
I feel like that's one of those moments where if you know you've left bomb alone for a little while, you just have your guard up.
There you go, yeah. If it was a purely game sense move, I'd believe it.
Leave a little treat in spawn. AK chucked to the wayside, as Imperial has been in the majority of these rounds. We've got the last before we have the switching of the sides.
Again, one player posted up here at B. CT is not really making a fuss for them. They have taken a main control, which is big. Oh, wow. I think it was a smoke that was, I don't know. It could have been Esperanto peeking around to see if there was a crack, or it could have been a planned crack. Either way.
With that smug look on his face.
Right.
Doesn't matter what happened. He's feeling good.
Right, right. And he might have been like, yeah, knew that was going to... I invented that.
Yeah.
You actually learned that from me. Didn't know it, son.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Ooh, Nexus actually got himself into a good position. Normally he's playing over towards headshot, which has been countered by Molotovs on all of these B executes. That's why he keeps just running out into the open. He has no choice. Burn alive, or at least try to take one with you. But now he's got a teammate over there. He finally emerges from the corner in a second dink. Good hiding of the head, but oh man, if only he had 30 rounds. Still, he could keep them back and keep them at bay. Sway this back into the favor of Imperial. It looks like Luminousity are going to continue on this trek, and it could be a climb to the bomb site. Yell, he's got himself one, but Haji does the same, and Pound just toying with the idea of running through smoke because his teammate needs help. And in doing so, he's found them. He's figured it out. It's 1v1. The op is up. 15 seconds to the clock. Oh! And through the smoke he goes.
Holy smokes. A sigh of relief, and for good reason. If that round had played out a few more seconds, Yell was totally aware of the way that he was approaching his smoke, and I'm sure he would have lost. So, wow, what a crazy round. I actually loved how Luminosity played the 3v3 in that situation. Nexa did a bunch of great damage, and it made it so that even though it was 3-on-3, two of the players were so low, they were basically useless. And as they entered the B site, catching the back player off guard while mollying Heaven, running up headshot, all of these things worked out well. I think the one thing that they kind of messed up there was the smoke and the CT, and that's why you don't want to smoke the plume so much. People actually abuse that quite a lot, where a CT will come in, and if there's a smoke that bleeds out into under Heaven, just walk in, walk to the side, hang a left a little bit, and then suddenly they're in the site, and there's a smoke wall to the right, defending them from any of the terrorists that have already encroached onto the actual site itself.
Hey, buddy. It's always nice.
Is that my name? I can't read, so.
It said, hi, Launders and Scron.
Oh, hey,
Don't
man.
worry, your name was still first.
Okay, good.
That's the way it's going to be.
It wasn't upside down, right?
No.
Okay.
Oh, these shirts actually have a full round neck and then also a collar. That's what are those? I've never seen. That's
It's a twofer.
yeah, the old twofer coming back. All right, folks, let's see what happens in this pistol. The second one of Cash. A lot of utility to this T side, but it's what you'd use for a standard execution, right? We're going to see the smoke on the cross, the Molotov somewhere in the bomb site, unless they hold on. Seeing as this will be an easy execution forward, they may not need it, but as a precautionary cause, they will go ahead and chuck it out. They've actually got themselves a second smoke as well. Completely cleared for free. Take your bomb plant, 5-on-5. Let's get this retake rolling.
Some damage dealt. Honestly, I'd be totally fine to be a CT here. They know exactly what's up, and Imperial have not pushed anything.
Instant gush. Penny trades it back. Nuki's down. It's Yell to come in with the next one. We've got a couple reloads going on. Everybody's getting into the fray. Everybody throwing punches. Nice headshot as well. Takes Nekas down, so now he's going to have to play a little safer, allow his teammates to move forward, and there's still two Ts pinned into the back of Quad, but they've cleared one. Did they anticipate another? Here he comes, Esperanto. They've got him off the bomb.
Lucas killed his own teammate, as two of them also got frags. A headshot, no less. And oh my goodness, 4 players they had in that situation to clean that up. That should have been easy.
Hadji looks baffled.
The smoke misses, too.
Yep.
Nowhere near default. That is steel smoke, actually, and that's a bad frag, man. Wow. I was going to say, like, you're not going to win a round if you're Imperial versus a good Cash team simply taking a site. You've got to push. You've got to have a big flank ready. You've got to do something special to make it a 4v4, 3v3. And they didn't do anything. They left Luminosity in their comfort zone. But the Deagles are out. Nuke is down to less than half HP.
Still not with a Deagle, will look to reposition. Smoke on the cross is going to allow the entrance towards the bomb site, but the bomb is so far back. It's going to have faded, mostly, by the time he arrives. Nexa, don't go through. Get that bomb in, buddy. He's going to throw it in the safe spot for B-Main. There is no B-Main after plan. Hadji's actually all the way back here towards Checkers, and now he will not have a peek from the first doorway. He'll have to go over towards Vent Room in order to get an angle towards that bomb, which means if the site itself will crumble, we could see trouble here for Imperial. They have still 2 flashbangs to look and lock this down. No kit for the retake, so they really have to go because the bomb's halfway ticked. Nexus gets an immediate kill. They know where the last 2 Ts are at, and Nexus just using these boxes for cover. The CTs don't have time. They need to get on it now, and Hadji's going to have a hard time getting out on the peak, but he comes off of it. He taps it twice, and they know this round is not theirs. Even though they've cleared Imperial off the board, the gap will close by 1.
Luke Penny goes back to try to recover a gun. They pick up 5 players dead on Imperial. That's not much of a win. The eco round, even though they close it out, is not going to mean much. A literal minimum. Whoa, Nekas. Some clean skeet shooting from him.
Like Cam's fried goose.
Cam's fried goose, never forget. Wow. Luminosity, they bought. Somehow, 2 of them have only got Deagles and don't even have a nade set to show for it. They've bought down to 0. Wow, they were really broke, though, huh? So, small lead here, Imperial. Tiny advantage with Yell hurt. I think Yell wants to just make sure to keep this gun in recoverable distance, so even if he dies, they can actually give it to Nekas, or sorry, give it to Lucas or Nekas. We're a little bit less fortunate.
We talked about the force buys from Imperial in the first half and how they maybe went for 1 too many. I'm interested to see if Luminosity continue to face economic woes, whether or not they'll pull this out again, because this is an ambitious buy.
It is.
They could have accepted the fact that Imperial are going to have low cash and then try to get them in a gun round, but if they can rob this one, then they are in such a good position. We'll see if they have what it takes. The Deagle firing off reveals itself, and they've lost the entry kill so quickly. There's still CTs on the bomb site, one of which equipped. Great flash, yes, absolutely. And the spray down's only good for one, but Lucas will still stand so damn tall. He nabs himself another, and just like that, you blink, you miss it. Esperanto strikes.
As he did on the pistol.
Yeah.
Right? He's coming in at these late round situations with a ton of madness, and we don't know if everything's just falling into place for him, but in these previous couple of rounds, he's been critical when it gets crazy, and that's what we know for sure. So Luminosity don't win that. That's kind of a big deal. I mean, they definitely forced and invested and realized that they're putting a lot on the line, and they still get 3 kills out of it, which is nice, but now Imperial are tied up and this game is on.
I think Esperanto may actually be one of a kind in the sense that his first showing at a DreamHack Open, he was the absolute lowest rated player when Imperial bombed out of DreamHack Tour. Month later, shows up to DreamHack Summer as the qualified team, right? Not coming from an invite, and he becomes the highest rated player. That transition from lowest to highest rated player over the span of one event, I don't think has ever happened before or since. So, he's turning up, and Imperial are turning up as well off the back of him. We said yesterday he struggled, they took a loss. Today, he's looking great, and here they go. Score tied up and a gun advantage. If I'm wrong with that as well, I would like for somebody to pick it out. But I think, if my research is correct, he is one of a kind.
I'm not going to check. Not because I'm lazy. I just have complete faith in you.
It's a good way to spin it.
As a play-by-play, very respectable analysis. Let me go ahead and see if you're right about this.
You think Henny gets a kill?
Yeah, let's go for it. Henny gets a kill.
Henny gets a vomit.
Oh, not a kill though. Can't beat the jumping. The greatest features of the Mac 10.
Rest in peace.
As both teams now seek round 10, or was that 10? No, it's 10 for Imperial. Luminosity scrambling to regain ground. Have actually gone for the double up adjustment, one of the most important points in the map to do it. Just after you lose a lead late into a second half, there's not much more to show. This is a great time to catch the other team off guard, stabilize. It's especially useful when money becomes less important because you're not going to be able to recover yours with 2 ops. Kill reward's so low. You also risk a lot by losing the round. Here's a lot of terrorists that are postured up to go for an A hit, and Pound's actually made his way out. This is a clean execution from Imperial. It really comes down to how many smokes and nades they have left. It's only 2. Both of them go out. They're using them early. They're allowing this retake to occur, and they haven't pushed anything. I would say advantage Luminosity.
The one difference between the pistol round and this is that Esperanto is going to be coming out for the late lurk, but he walks out middle and doesn't check his corners. The price, his life. And a 5v4 now for Luminosity as this retake does move forward. As you said, still some utilities for them to play, but we've got the head boosting quad just to get them anything. Yes, Haji's already taken down Nekus, and he knows there's players close. Cannot continue the spray down, and Yell's caught towards wall. Henny just completely isolated out of the retake. No further footing for him. And so, it's Imperial to continue with a lead. Now, I ask you, Lunders, you have a 5v5 retake occurring here in this round in a full buy with utility.
Yeah.
It's something that also happened in the pistol. Is there really a huge difference in between having it happen in a pistol and then versus the gun round?
The big difference is obviously the utility here. What's really strange about that is we can see as he was boosted up, there was a Molotov that went down at Forklift, but for some reason there was a player actively at Forklift fighting them. So I was going to say, wow, they forgot to Molotov Forklift, but maybe it just came out too late. Like the Forklift guy is the first thing, you know, that's the first thing you deal with because you don't want anybody who's on bomb wall dodging flashes, bouncing off the wall to get attacked by someone at Forklift. Once that fight is removed, just quad a main which is smoked, and that's it. Default, which also gets mollied. So a big flaw in how they retook, maybe a late Molotov, but to answer your question, it comes down to the utility for sure.
Lucas has been here before, this time more well-armed than last. Nets himself a kill. Tough to spot that player, actually, if he's just underneath the steering wheel. And he's going to try to stay honed in on this. Doesn't want to give up his angle, despite the utility and the flames bursting at his feet, but it's Esperanto's wrapped through smoke that gets himself a double. Damn. He has 3, and now the 4th should follow suit. It does. How about 5? Have you got it in you?
Oh!
Absolutely.
Woo! In style, too. God damn, this guy.
1 tap to the head. 22 kills, I do believe. That one there, an ace.
On first peak. What a great entry, too. Just to come up the side of the site like this. Boop, boop. Hit him with a nice wrap, and it was just so timely. You know, no baiting involved, like in that sense, where you'd say, oh, well, he gets credit, but he always comes in last. Like, I'll see you at the bomb site a little later. Not Esperanto. He's the front man.
First pause called. I do have to say, I thought Luminosity would have an edge, again, on Cash as well. This is a map that they do like to play. It was, of course, the choice of Imperial, so maybe not a surprise. But we're starting to see this T side really make the difference. And that's something we kind of talked about with Luminosity is their CT sides. They're good on the offense. It's good when they get to determine what happens and they make their opponents play in response to their own decisions. But when it comes to dealing with an opponent's game plan, sometimes they do struggle. Not this round. Henny boosted over smoke deals with the threat of Esperanto.
Definitely a big start. I mean, just as you were talking about earlier, this definitely just feels like a very, very close game. And the smoke's no good.
Unless it's meant to put him in that position so that Nuki can peek it and kill him.
I don't think he can see from his side. Find out now. Henny, oh my God, don't know what's going on with you. Maybe just engrossed in his scope and not realizing. Things happen.
Fire fades and allows the entrance. Yell gonna smoke off Checker's side. Hadji thinks he's sneaky, but down he goes. Does Yell anticipate a second player already standing out? Got him. Headshot, Nexus down. Bomb just with it. And that's gonna serve as a huge issue for Imperial to try and deal with. They know there's players inside of the bomb site, but they can't find the angle just yet. Woo! Locked from the sky is Nuki. Pounds up next. Down he goes. Double op setup looks great from LG. They too take double digits.
What's most did they recover an op into that round?
I believe so.
Oh.
I didn't see it at the beginning.
Yeah, and it would have been crazy for them to be able to afford 2 ops in a row, or 2 buy rounds in a row to double up. So that's a big find, and they made the most of it. Obviously, that's a game changer maybe for Luminosity. Imperial going back to B actually,
where they will find one of 2 ops, still held on to by Luminosity. Steele actually comes out from the corner, and he's only good for 1. Very tradable position, and Yell's not going to want to linger inside of the site. Instead, he takes a position towards CT spawn, and he drops the burst. Another?
Oh
yes.
My God.
And this cross is just locked down. Bomb is here on the other side of it, and finally they nullify him with a smoke, but he chucks a grenade, continues to fire off, and this is once his teammates arrive. So he's got the support and clearly the skill to try and hold back the B site. No wraparound from B main. Luminosity coming in from one direction, split between the heaven and the lower. It's Pound to hold back the first one. A little bit of disjointedness coming in. They trickle forward, but oh my goodness, Luke is whipping around, puts it onto Nexa, needs to lead by example off of the flash. He hits another, but the man above is just too high up. The spray does not transition, and the defuse will mean an 11th for LG.
Anybody playing solo op on B site, just go back and watch Yell play that. Look, literally so smart. Like, he played that position to perfection in the face of a rush when your teammate dies. And he didn't have as much information, not nearly as much information as we did. If we turned off X-ray for him or for us in that situation, I hope he has X-ray off. And then we would have seen that he had to guess that it was going to be a rush through the smoke. He was going to have to guess when to throw that nade, where the second kill will come from, watching the corner of the smoke that he did, and how fast he had to fall back to make sure that he was alive to make it a multi-frag. And he just nailed it. Every single movement. It was really beautiful. Yeah, the round gets close at the end, but if Yell doesn't do all that damage and get those kills, they lose.
You know that Imperial then regret not smoking him off sooner because they had the utility for it. Once he got 2 kills, they put it down.
They wanted to kill him,
Yep.
but they didn't expect him to fall back.
No, because normally there's a guy towards either, of course, the headshot lane or inside of the bomb site. Good reposition there from Yell. Catches them off guard. Counter boost? No, he's alone. Neck is just trying to find a little cover. Nex is so ready to burst out from this door. The only player with a pistol. And if Henny misses this shot, then there could be an opportunity for him to get closer to the bomb site. And Henny, careful, watch his screen. He's not looking at his screen. He's playing off of his teammate, which is when things like this can happen. He peeks back into it and dies. It's Esperanto again, just cracking open the A site, but he can't go any further because he needs to plant the bomb. His 2 other teammates still towards A main, one on top of him. And Steel so close. But they're waiting for that flank. Remember, Nekez is coming with an MP9 over towards A main. They're going to go for the boost again. Hadji played it last time. Steel has crept his way forward. Steel's going to get the boat. Down they go. And Nuke has also fallen. 3 kills for Steel. And it's tied game at 12.
The madman. And they have played the afterplant the exact same. And that's why when he got flashed in, he didn't freak out and he didn't run and realize he could walk up on quad. Also, knowing that they had a main control still, he chooses to go on the right.
And you can see that last man in A main, he's watching towards the flank because that's where he just lost a teammate. And of course, Steel doesn't have to worry about it because the 2 players in quad would have called that he was there. A main exposed because they had no info and no clue they were about to be blindsided with a trio of frags from Steel. So smooth. Leaves us in this kind of a situation. Again, a force by Mohan. And if I'm not mistaken, this is at least after 2 round loss bonus, so they're getting like 2,400, 2,900, and they're still deciding to force buy. Not entirely though, of course. It is just the curb purchase. They have enough cash to get back on it. Whoa, a second from Yell. Good shots. But 2 is enough, says Nexa. Remember, the only AK in play. No second weapon retrieved just yet. Steel wanted to try and contain it, but he has to give it up. Lucas denied the flank. This makes things all the more interesting.
A big kill to drop. No
3
doubt
done.
about it. Going back to mid late is an awesome play. It's the place where the CTs will most likely give up early, especially in a 3v3. And if you're not pressed for time, you should always go ahead and check out mid.
Steel gives chase, though. Somehow finds Nuki all the way towards White Box. What was he up to? Or White Truck, rather.
You heard that. So Henny's going to call that he knows one is waiting at White Box for a late A hit. I mean, it could be anything, but all he has to do is wait. Teammate on full alert so he can't die from highway. Here it is. Nekka's just waiting. Also nails the kill.
Now he knows where the last man's at. Hadji understanding that time is ticking quickly because there's 8 seconds and an encroaching defense. Luminosity back in the lead. They gave it to Imperial, gave them a taste, and then slapped the spoon out of their hands.
Carried on the string. They smacked it out of... Yeah, that's funny. That's a good visual. I like that.
I almost hit you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I could take it.
Doubt it.
I'm into it. Call me vanilla again, Connor.
Yeah. 2 ops in play. Nuki versus Yell. Oh, excuse me. 3 ops. Henny's got it. I was going to say, who's the primary opper? First time we've seen the counter boost. Let's see what happens. Once he drops, it's going to be a commitment. Hello. Goodbye. 2 kills, both headshots. Steel making plays.
That was a yeet and a nay-nay.
And Pound now, he thinks, oh, does he? Yes, he does. Still anticipate the possibility of a player to the right. Nexa gets one back, and it's once more a 3 versus 3. This isn't the first time we've had this, Launders.
A tricky smoke. but no CTs being tricky. Back to mid, right after the minute mark, similar scenes.
The boost goes both ways.
It's a two-way street.
Look at this creep up towards A main, though. They're getting a little bit closer, and Henny's about to find himself an angle. Sure enough, he drops the bomb. That's information and an advantage in the form of one man down. Bomb's retreating, 35 seconds. The clock applying pressure, inevitably sinking in, as are the teeth of Imperial towards this A site. That's where they want to make the action happen. But the bomb's taken the same route as Nexa. He knows this is clear because he moved through it himself. Can they get the best of Steel? He's sitting on 2 kills already. Now he's got himself a 3rd. And he's just going to lock down the bomb site because Pound has to get across. And he cannot. Henny covers Luminosity 14. And they are more than happy to steal away their opponent's map choice.
Zach's getting animated. I mean, he's starting to taste victory, and you can see why. What a play from Steel. And it's great to have these pocket plays that are otherwise quite predictable, like going for the counter boost, if you just use them sparingly.
It's the first time they did it.
Worked the best.
Round 26.
Some people go for it over and over again. And
fools.
They're fools, yeah. This is nice. You saw these last couple of rounds, it would seem like Luminosity are dominating this game, but it is close.
Esperanto actually keeps a little cash in his coffers. It'll give him something to fight with in the next round if they do have to try and force OT. Lucas lays down the Molotov, and the Incendiary comes the other way. However, the T's don't follow suit, not yet. They will be coming after the fact now. They will try to trickle past, but Lucas can blast back if he lines them up. They don't want to run through smoke. That wouldn't be fun. Could lead to disaster, as it's a man advantage. Esperanto's down, a key piece to the entries in this site, and it is just in utter denial so far until Pound takes 2 down, lining them up and planting the bomb after the fact. So a man advantage for the retake with utility on top of it.
Yell holds the Molotov with his life. A nade comes raining over the site, and chip damage is dealt. And now the smoke A main is on, and they realize that the retake is about to occur. But Pound getting in the face of it, doing a good amount of damage to Henny as well.
Near single-handed. It wasn't until that kill from Nexa where Pound had done everything. A one-man show. On 2 HP, he's convinced Henny to retreat. That op needs to be saved, and he's gonna get caught. Nexa, with the last 2 frags, creates the full house and a 1-round difference as we get to the very tail end of map 1.
On his way out, going down is big. I mean, he could have gone for that retake. I mean, there was, if he was going to die, a good reason to, and the Khalil just eating through all that armor.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Hungry hippo. Or a couple of balls.
Take a breather, boys. Luminosity still having 2 pauses after this, and Imperial have only 1. Only 1 left.
Could be a game of pauses. I don't know if it comes down to that. I'm Luminosity, I'm still confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you let the lead slip, but then you immediately got it right back. And you still hold on to it.
Give them a hope and then take it away.
We went through this. The spoon and the slapping.
On the other hand.
And the denials. Here we go, folks. Round 28 coming your way. All right, passive spawn anchor watching for the B flank. Steel does sometimes get a little adventurous on that portion of the map. Is he over there now? No. He's retreating for B. He's left Yell alone with that op on a forward angle as well. So this is good for Luminosity, assuming he doesn't get pinned into the back of Checkers and dies alone.
So much faith in the snipers here. One of the routes that we've seen Luminosity have the clearest path to victory, so you can see the temptation to invest in this. They've sacrificed nades, right? There's a player here, Nakus, who doesn't have a gun. Lucas is only on the Deagle. But I can see the temptation. It's been difficult for Imperial to find rounds when Luminosity have picked up these double ops. It's been powerful. Let's see if it pans out. There's actually a lot of players over towards A. The stack is out, and one of the things that are going to rotate is an op. Might see a situation or we save.
This is huge. He's got the off angle to start it. Jumping over gives him confirmation of further presence here, and he knew that if the flames didn't take him, someone would. Oh! That is big. That is so needed from Nekaz. A limitation in the form of a deagle, but still, he just hits him in the cranium. And I can't even blame him for trying to go for that fight because he has to cut down the numbers. Now off of the flashy passes, and Hadji is able to deny 3 versus 3. Still a deag in play, and the utility is non-existent, but the kit sure is. They could call it quits. They could call it quits and not try to force this retake, giving them something to work with in the next round. Remember, they invested into this. They will be broken. They could be conceding a 15th round to Imperial, so it looks like they want to fight for it. And Steel's out into the open. He's going to get the blind side unless they're spotted from B main. Yes, it's traded straight back, and Hadji gets a double. Henny now has to run. Imperial tie it up again.
By the skin of his teeth, Henny gets away with it. Steel was the one to take initiative. It seemed like it was a little bit late. It seemed like they weren't entirely sure if they wanted it.
But that's not the first time we've seen Luminosity go for those sorts of retakes. They have played it to the wire. They have played against the clock.
For sure.
And this is one of those examples. I mean, you think about it, if Steel isn't actually standing so far back towards the opening to B main, if he was closer to the bomb site, which could have been just as possible on a sneak like that, then he could have just hit both players in the site, but he gets the B main kill and dies to Hadji. Excellently done from the Frenchman.
They bought up again. They didn't recover that double op like you said. They could try to just save whatever guns they had. They're going to buy here. They really invested in winning that retake, even though it seemed like they weren't decisive enough to do it. It didn't seem like they believed they were going to win. And now we're 14-14. Luminosity are at a significant disadvantage after showing so many signs of brilliance in these past 5 rounds.
Nuke is trying to hunt somebody in a forward position, but the first point of contact is Yell. He's over towards Headshot. Steel in the back of the site primes a smoke, and just as Nuki starts to round these corners, reinforcements arrive. That op, the single primary gun for Luminosity, is here towards the B site. But keep your eyes on the radar because the bomb is long gone towards A. It's a volley of utility into middle. Is not wanting to retreat just yet, but eventually he does reel his way back up highway. That has, of course, called Henny over towards the A site. That's showing towards mid. They anticipate the A split, but when in reality, it's B once more.
This is a threatening smoke to happen this late. Imperial certainly worried because they were about to set up.
Yell's gonna go inside it. Yell's gonna push pass off of the flash, but it looks like Esperanto gets the kill regardless. These flashbangs are fantastic. It's dwindling down the time so much. They need to get into position. Luminosity need to hold this off, or we watch Steel go astronomical here in the site. They're all distracted, but still the kills come into the favor of Imperial. 10 seconds the difference as all the kills go their way. It looked like it was coming down to the wire, but that's the thing. Even though it comes down to the clock, the gun advantage spells disaster for LG. Everybody dies as anticipated, and Imperial secure OT.
And in the face of an intimidating smoke and some great flashes thrown, they still handled the situation well. They still, with very little time left, when emotions are probably running high and panic is at its maximum, they still handled it well. And now they're able to take a 29th, force Luminosity to save, recycle this op one more time. A situation you never want to be in. Oh, Luke is somehow fluffing that one deeg. Could have been a gun in his hands, and I mean, that actually matters when you look at this next round. But now we're going to move into round 30, and it's unclear. What can Luminosity even buy here? How confident do Imperial feel? I mean, it came down to the wire. Read-wise, there's a lot of good things to say about Luminosity's situation, but economically and equipment value, they didn't have anything going for him. This is the most animated I think I've ever seen Zach. He's going in right now. I don't know what he's talking about. But,
talking about the fact that they could still take their opponent's map choice. Esperanto and co wanted to end up here. We move on to Overpass after this.
absolutely a legacy map for Luminosity. Historically have loved playing here. And today are about to be, or potentially about to be, bested by Imperial after such a great showing. Must have been a giant adrenaline dump. for Luminosity. A wild ride that felt like it was going to end short. Now it's gone the complete distance.
No mid defense at all. They're going to try and throw something different. Remember, we saw that one-off counter boost over towards middle when Steel gets himself a crucial 2K and takes the game back into LG's hands, and now they've thrown a man on Shroud. Not yet seen from the CTs. Not that it's going to matter because they still have that 3-man core defense towards A, when all of a sudden the execution comes into the B site so quickly, but the men inside the site, they just blanket it in smokes. They welcome the push because what this does is it delays the execution and it allows for the rotation to come over. Unless Imperial want to fancy their chances by charging through smoke like this, they have to wait. And it does allow for Henny to get into position. Up in the heavens is he. Down goes the B site defenders. They get nothing accomplished once the smokes do fade. Bomb chucked up into the site itself. At a jump, will get him in. That's the plant in a 5 versus 3. Launders, I'm an optimistic guy, but I don't know about this one. Bomb already ticked 1/4 the way. The retake still not rolling. The damage going back the other way. Looks like they've got it, and they most certainly do. A testing experience here on Cash, but Imperial will pick things up.
A clean end to a hectic and thoroughly hectic map. I mean, overall, unbelievable. That motion's got to be running really high right now. That is a tough loss at a certain point. At the end of that, Zach had the cords just draped over his back as he was running back and forth behind the players, trying to explain to them like what they need to do, how to remain calm when he himself couldn't.
To me, there is a very different world where if that A execution actually comes out from Imperial again, then they do potentially get caught off by the one-off of the Shroud boost. It's unfortunate, of course, for Luminosity that they head towards B. You see how the grenades delayed everything, Launders, but delaying the inevitable still means map loss.
Yeah.
Damn. Folks, we're going to see you after a brief break with map number 2. We'll head over to Overpass to see if Luminosity can extend the series or whether Imperial could make another finals run at a DreamHack Open. Don't go too far. We'll see you soon.
Place your bets at gg.bet. Most popular esports title.